I'm an actress. I said, no, you're not.
E azione!
Usually Dario just wants to use them and like move them around the screen. He wants them to act, that's what he's paid them to do. Get on with it, he just wants to sort of move his camera around them, do these fabulous shots, you know, go over them, go under them, go round them. That's what he wants to do. He's more interested in that.
Okay.
He cares less about performance than about just the, you know, the position in the frame, and as long as it's appropriate, the expression is appropriately dramatic, whatever. I think that he would, you know, I think that he would probably have a good time working with computer-generated actors.
It's surprising to hear that Dario doesn't like actors, because I had such a sharing, working experience with him. He was like a child in his excitement. He just, fantastic, fantastic. I mean, guy weighed 88 pounds. You know, he was thin, but he would just throw his body into the air. You know, he just loved it all.
He was the kind of director who knows what an actor has to offer and uses the actor's particular gifts and just gently guides him or her rather than trying to impose his idea of how a performance precisely should be. So I mean, in other words, I think he brought out the best in me, which is always, I think, what a good director can do with an actor.
Attenzione, un'altra prova, meccanica, via dal campo.
I think my father hates actors that are there like, oh, come on, you have to speak to me, I want attention, I want more. My father sometimes shows the actors, most of the time, what he wants through the movements of his camera. And you have to be smart enough to appreciate that and give your best and direct yourself, you know, just be and not act.
Dario Argento has now acted in several of her father's films.
Through Asia, Dario is actually reliving his relationship with Dario in many ways. They look alike. I think Asia is as good an actress as her mother is, and I think through that they're actually exploring everything that I think Dario would have wanted to have done with Dario had their relationship lasted the course.
Periodo in cui ho lavorato con mia figlia Asia, ho scoperto la mia nuova musa in lei.
When I worked with my daughter Asia, I discovered the muse in her. It's a privilege to be able to work with your own actress daughter without rivalry. The usual antagonisms between father and daughter didn't happen in our case, because we have become friends, colleagues.
Their professional relationship was put to the test when father and daughter worked together on Trauma.
I was so scared, and the most painful thing was when I had to take my bra off in the scene and I had to be breast naked, and it was a big issue for me and a big problem to be naked, and especially in front of my father. It's just been lately that I've been thinking about how actually bizarre it is that my father has killed my mother several times and my sister once, and never killed me once, but he had me raped a few times, and it's really bizarre if you think about it. I sincerely don't want to, because I'm scared that I'm going to reveal something that is better to be kept like this. He needs somebody, a feminine character, to represent his curiosity of life and danger and all these things. In some ways, sometimes I thought that he gave me life only to have a muse, only to have somebody, an actress for his films. And sometimes I think that.
Some people think that Dario might have had even more success if he'd taken a familiar route and moved to the United States.
Dario is Italian. Dario has, you know, is completely Italian, and maybe he was even proud to be Italian, you know. For an artist, it's better to stay in your country and make your movie from your country.
Ancora. Oh, basta.
And then present your talent to everybody else. Why make movies from other countries and make the same things? It doesn't have any sense.
I think that his American movie look too much American. I like his Italian movies because they have a different style, a different flavor, which his American movie do not have. So I think his right place is Italy. You know, he makes Italy international. He makes Italy American too, because he has a very personal, very special way to look at it, to film it.
I think he's probably been given a certain freedom to follow his own vision that many American directors certainly don't have, because they're answering to bottom line executives who have a crowd of accountants sitting behind them saying, I think it's very nice this director has an artistic vision, but if we don't have a body every 15 minutes, nobody's going to care about this movie.
In a career that has spanned almost 40 years, Argento has become justly renowned for his unique visual style.
His use of camera and his fluidity of his shots, I think, have been very influential to many filmmakers. Even in some of his lesser films, I think some of the people will say that, look, you know, you're looking at a guy who really knows how to move the camera, knows how to create, you know, some creative shots and creative angles and things like that.
He would look at something and he'd think about it. And then he'd all of a sudden go, macchina mano, macchina mano. And they'd bring him the hand camera. Così, così, così.
Così.
And he'd go and he'd run and jump up on top of a sofa.
La macchina così fa questo movimento. Così.
And he'd walk along the back of the sofa and then he'd jump up onto a table. Così, così, così. And then he'd run along like this, and then he'd jump up on the stairs, così, così, like this, like this, like this. And then he'd hold it above, like this, to the door and out. And he'd walk back in, and the entire crew is standing there like this. And he'd go, vai, 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 subito, subito. And everybody running around like not knowing what to do. 2 days later, we're ready to shoot this sequence. And they have a cameraman tied on a pole, attached to a dolly. 4 guys go like this, lifting the cameraman up on a harness that he's got, holding the camera into the air. Then they run along with this track that they built way up the side of a room so that it could go over our heads and beat us to the door, and we go out.
Silenzio! Partito! Silenzio!
He did some really radical stuff, editing-wise, too, that people don't really give him credit for. I mean, you know, from subjective points of view to sudden tight close-ups. This had never been done, and it gave an immediacy to the films that followed them.
When you see John Ford movies, even if you see when it's already begun, you don't know who made this movie, but you see the style, you know, you see the way of doing the shot, you know, it's very personal. And with Dario is the same. It's a very personal way of filmmaking, and I like it.
Oh, my friend!
Argento is now recognized all over the world. To countless fans, the name Argento has become almost a brand.
He's pretty famous in Italy with young people, with kids. He and I were over there at the Turin Film Festival, and we went out to an Egyptian museum to look at mummies, I guess reliving our old Hammer horror film days. And he was mobbed by his school kids, mobbed. They knew who he was, and they were yelling and screaming for him. So he's very popular with the young generation because there's no one else doing what he did anymore. That whole, his whole genre is kind of gone from him.
When you go to Japan, my father is famous like in Italy almost. It's beautiful to see that he reached people all over the world. He always say that he tells a story, and it's great to see that the story he tells is interesting for everybody in the world.
I'm very proud of the success of Dario, because when I met him, I really loved his cinema. I really loved his imagination, his capability of great technical skill, you know. So this remains. I can't cancel this. And this, he deserves the success he has all around the world.
Ma tutti I medici che ci sono, ma proprio un egiziano he's great to talk with, to get drunk with, to go out with. We're friends. We have a completely different way of looking at life and the world, completely different kind of life. And yet we both understand the horror movie and love it. And it's fun. It's fun being with him.
Io sono orgoglioso.
I'm proud and I'm happy to have made a lot of films. It was interesting to say what I wanted to say, and I was lucky to be able to do it in my own way. I am very proud of one thing. I've worked in total freedom and nobody could tell me what to do. If I hadn't had this, my films, of course, would have been very different.
Dario's always had his always just really, I don't know, followed his gut on, well, this works, and it works for me, and therefore I hope it works for you, and I don't care if it doesn't, which is a terrific attribute that he has. I mean, he just sort of lays it out there. I mean, he cooks a stew, and you don't like the way it tastes, tough.
I had finished the film. I was at the hotel packing my bag. Knock on the door. Scusi. Dario wants you. He forgot one shot. What shot? Non lo so. Come. I'm sitting in the car, we're driving, further than we've ever driven to any location. I'm thinking, I don't remember any of this, where are we going? And it's getting dark, and we're driving. The next thing is, the guy points at this big door. It's almost like a castle. So I get out of the car, and he drives away. And I'm standing there in the pitch black. I'm thinking, what's going on here? So I go over and I bang on the door, and I swear to you, a guy with a lantern answers the door, and he goes, and he walks off. I was in pitch black, you know, and so I had to like keep up behind him, turning all these corners. And I'm thinking, I am living a Dario Argento movie here, and I'm getting nervous, and I'm thinking, I don't know what's going on here. Maybe they're gonna kill me. Then I turn up, and all of a sudden, there's a big shout, and fountains light up, and a whole band begins to play, an orchestra. And it was a farewell party. That was the location Dario chose to have the party. It was a fantastic time.